Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of BoxTalk. We got into a discussion over the weekend on Twitter over are British fighters getting sent over to the US to lose and to get a payday, or do they have a legitimate shot at winning world titles, or is there more than that? Why are fighters going abroad, Ade?
Look, this is it's such a tough argument. There's elements to it which I agree with, and there's also, as almost like a patriotic British person, that I disagree with. As a patriotic British person, I want to send our guys over there when, in my heart of hearts, as a boxing fan, and we're all boxing fans out there, in my heart of hearts, when I think like, oh, he's got a chance, this kid. And there's almost that excitement, he's got a chance. I want him to go over there. Almost like if we would have sent Ben and Eubank to fight a James Toney. Or I dare say even a Roy Jones. Even though these guys were the legitimate kings, I would have been like, go on, Ben, go on. There's a chance, I'm going to tune in. Recently, we've been sending guys over there that, deep down, I don't think they've got that much of a chance. And I think that's what irks people. But we've got to understand that we're not the boxers. You know, we're not getting the paydays, we're not getting the exposure. But so basically what I'm trying to say is my boxing knowledge, send them over there. My fan head, don't send them over there until we know they're ready. That's my problem.
See, the problem I look at it from a different point of view. If I look at it from, say, from the camp's point of view,
yeah.
You're someone's manager,
yeah,
or the promoter, and an offer comes in from Top Rank, from Golden Boy, from DeBella, whoever it is, over in the States, saying, look, we want your guy to get this shot. Here's what we're offering right now as an initial ballpark figure. We can negotiate on the ins and outs. As a manager / promoter, don't you have the right to tell your fighter what's on the table and what's being offered to him?
Yeah, you do.
So
100%.
At that time, the fighter will think, wait a minute, it's a world title shot, it's X amount of money, so the fighter has a choice now to say, I want it or I don't. Now, his coach or his camp might say, we might not be ready for this. But ultimately, the fighter within the person is not going to turn down a world title shot or opportunity to fight on a marquee card or main event in America because you're a fighter. That's what you do. That's what your job is. Ain't there risks fighting a guy that's not named or not ranked? Look at Provodnikov in Algeria. Now Algeria's a world champion.
Yeah, look, I think we're going to go through. If we go through, we're definitely going to find examples of Provodnikov Algeria. Yeah. We recently had one with Adonis Stevenson for Farah. Yeah. Guys that were so far apart. That does happen. Does it happen enough? Probably not. But this is boxing. Anyone can land one. There's definitely been a case of fighters, and we probably know about it, fighters are turning down possible fights in America. There's rumours of Kell Brook maybe not fighting when he had a chance, when he was a mandatory to fight other people. Pacquiao probably wouldn't have happened, but there's others where guys have probably looked at him and thought, not quite ready. Maybe it's a case of how good do you think your fighter is? Yeah. Do you think your fighter's in with just, like you say, an Algeria or from far a chance? Or do you think you want your fighter to eventually become one of the top guys, not just almost a lucky punch or a lucky stroke? And that's it. Obviously, the argument's been made that you send him over there for good money, for life-changing money. I guess the argument is, what is life-changing money? Brian Rose recently was talked about being $100,000. It probably comes back after taxes and manager's fees about £60,000. Is that life-changing money for Brian Rose, who British, Commonwealth champion, and WBC ranked number 1 or 2? I don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah, you know, like I said, when you say life-changing money, I think it depends on the lifestyle and what the person has in their life. Yeah. If you've got a mortgage paid fully, you drive a brand new car and you've got money in your bank account, then maybe 60k is not life-changing money. But if you've got bills to pay, you've got to pay your bill, you've got to send your kids to college, school, your wife, and that is good money. Yeah. But it does depend on the terms of what you're getting for that money. For example, when Broner fought Gavin Rees, everyone knew it was a big stretch for Gavin Rees. Yeah. But I thought he'd done an admirable performance and held his own for what he could. But everyone knew that Broner was being groomed as the pound-for-pound number 1. So that's more of a risk for than the likes of Brian Rose and Andrade, who we both said, as talented as he is not proven yet as top echelon. And I think he's kind of proved that in that fight, that how much skill he really does have. But when you don't know, when someone's kind of got a question mark, don't deserve the opportunity.
I think the problem And look, it's Eddie Hearn getting the backlash here. There's no other promoters really getting this backlash. The problem for Eddie Hearn is, obviously, minus Gil Barker, which was 2 neutral fighters fighting in America. People are looking at obviously Purdy, Bellew, Gavin Reese, and now Rose. Yeah. All of them, Bellew done okay. He was in there for a fight. All of them have gone over as, minus Purdy, all of them have gone over as mandatory fighters. Yeah. Mandatory positions. I.e., they worked their way up there, and they've all kind of, I don't like using the word exposed, but they've all kind of been harshly beaten and brought back to the UK. That's the problem. But
then, think about it on a different perspective, totally different angle. These sanctioning bodies, which we know are not always the best, they make you a mandatory, which means the fight's got to happen within a set amount of time. Yeah. If the fight doesn't happen in that set amount of time, you go to purse bids. Then someone wins the purse bids. Oh. So you don't promote or you don't put the money in, and someone else wins it. Then you got to say, well, my fighter's rejecting his mandatory shot at a world title. You can't. I don't think you expect a fighter to reject a mandatory shot. If you fought and worked your way up into the rankings, regardless of who the champion is, if your job was to get to that number 1 or that top 3, top 4 spot to get that mandatory shot or whatever's happened, you can't tell your fighter you're not going to have it, or you can't just say no, I'm just not going to take it. You're mandatory. Voluntary is different. It's an option. I agree. But if you're mandatory, I mean, there's a process that goes through it.
Yeah, there's a certain element of it, though. You're right. If it gets to a mandatory position, there's a certain element where I think the promoter might have to do something in terms of, is this guy ready? If you're trying to build a fighter, there's a difference between...
Can you have an interim before the mandatory or whatever?
Yeah, there's a difference between, someone almost like a last hurrah, and you've done well to kind of get him up the ranking. You just want to give him that one title shot in America, something they've been dreaming of, something they've watched on TV. But there's also an argument for, can we hold them back a bit? That's the problem. Can you hold a fighter back from what is their dream?
Okay, but then, we just been talking about Gavin Reese a minute ago, we're playing Rose. Let's go back to Gavin Reese for a second. Remember when he won his world title, and who was it against? He beat, was it Katonic?
No, it wasn't Katonic. Katonic lost it against. It was the black guy. I can't remember who it was.
Mbaye.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Mbaye. Solomon Mbaye, I think it was.
In Cardiff.
Yeah. Again, Gavin Reese wasn't supposed to win that fight. Gavin Reese was the world's smallest, still is the 140 pounder. But again, even though it was a home fight and he went abroad, he took the opportunity and got there.
Because it was a home fight.
No, but that's a big thing. But it's a big thing. But I'm saying, you can't say just because you're an underdog or just because it's not maybe latching your mind, you can't take the risk and go forward. Yeah. So do you think it would have been different if Brian Rose fought Andrade over in the UK? You know what? It's not. If it went the same way, he still lost, still got, but still not. What's the difference?
You say that, but you can just look over the years. A lot of good fights have come over, and there's something about being at home that's just created that Kessler-Calzaghe. How well would have Calzaghe done in Denmark for that fight, for example? There's many.
I understand that, but
Gerald McLennan, Nigel Benn. There's something about being at home that just adds a bit more.
Those fights you mentioned had comparable skill levels. Unfortunately, and this is no insult to Brian Rose, is that his skill level was not on par with Andrade's. His athleticism was not on par with Andrade's. Even his punch selection, his skill set overall was not on par with Andrade's. So you can't say if he came over to the UK, that will boost up all those elements.
The thing for the Rose fight, and this is obviously why he's got a lot of stick, and look, I think Brian Rose is a fantastic fighter. Yeah. He talked about it. The thing for the Rose fight is that the 2 fights or 3 fights that get him into the mandatory position, I thought were real tough fights. He got put down, got up, put down, got up. A couple of them went really wire thin decisions. And although he got to the mandatory position, he didn't get to the mandatory position the way you'd want someone to get to the mandatory, where you think, fluffing out, we've got something here, and he's ready. He got him just pure out and out wars, which made me think he's not ready for this world title shot yet.
But that's the thing about sanctioning bodies and mandatory. There might be wars, but you've got the decision.
You got the decision.
So you have to move forward. You can't move backwards. Yeah. Or if it's a close fight, you might stay in the same number. So I mean, your next fight's still going to be to go forward. When we're the sanctioning body, I don't want to go into it right now, but we know the sanctioning body don't rank other world champions in their rankings. So even though I get your point, that's saying that he had tough fights, so these guys are not the best in the division, but it's the best on offer to you at that time. And that's what you have to go through to get a title shot.
That's the problem. It's the best that's on offer through that sanctioning body.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because you look at the 154 division, and
it's quite stacked.
It's stacked. Yeah. It's stacked. You know what I mean? People, non-title holders. Ishe Smith, non-title holders. Kirkland, non-title holders. K9 Bunderidge, non-title holders. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm trying to say.
It's devil's work.
That's how it goes.
So is it the sanctioning body's fault or is it the promoter's fault?
No, I'd honestly.
Or does the promoter? This is a very good point. Is it the promoter's way to get in terms of ticking their box? Is it a case of I've got to get my world title fight, and they look at the sanctioning bodies and what's the easiest route through the sanctioning body?
Promoters do that. Promoters do that, and matches do it. That's what they do. How to get in position, especially if you get a good fighter who's not great, and you get him a title, you keep him in his hometown, let him fight his mandatory to win that division, and avoid the real animals.
Is that the problem then?
That happens.
No, is that the problem then?
I don't think it's the problem.
Is that all these British fighters, in a sense? I think Tony Bellew mentioned it. No, but you say that, but Tony Bellew mentioned that I could easily go through that route and get a world title, but I'm going through the toughest route possible.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a problem then, that they're going through a route where they're winning against not the greatest opposition, almost like Kell Brook in the IBF. Look, Kell Brook's ranked number 1 in the IBF, but we always consistently say that he's not fought a top 15 welterweight yet.
Frank Warren says it all the time. The key word in matchmaking is timing, and that's what the timing of going through the routes. One thing you mentioned a minute ago, we said about who to blame. I don't think there's no one to blame. You can't blame a manager or a promoter for getting you the best fight or the best opportunity out there. You can't blame them. If I had to put responsibility, and there's not blame, responsibility on one person, it's the trainer. Okay. The trainer knows the fighter inside out. The trainer knows what the fighter is capable of doing and not capable of doing. And the trainer should tell the fighter, yes, you can win this fight. No, you can't win this fight. If you can't win this fight, what can I do in this fight? Oh, you could put a good performance up. You can make a name for yourself. You could do certain things, maybe get a split decision, but a trainer knows their fighter. And I think a trainer should be honest with their fighter and say, if this fight's not good for you, you're going to put yourself in risk to be hurt. But as much as the trainer does that, ultimately, it is always down to the fighter to say yes or no.
I think what we're getting at, I think what a lot of people that are saying it's wrong are getting at is almost similar to what you said. And that's even without being in the camp and seeing. There's almost something where we're knowledgeable. A fight gets mentioned, we already kind of, 9 times out of 10 you can pick who's going to win that fight. Yeah. I think when our British boys are going over there is something from our perspective that's trying to say, this is not ready for that. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing. As fans, we'll still tune up and still watch the fight, but there is a bit of us that's trying to say, like, a couple more fights and he'll be ready for it. But again, how do you turn it down? But look, guys, time's down on this one. Sorry for dragging it on a bit. What do you think? It's a subject that's all over the place at the moment. Every promoter in the world seems to have had his opinion on it. Frank Warren's had his opinion on it. Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn, fighters have had their opinions on it. What do you do? If a fighter is mandatory, like a lot of these are, not a lot of these are voluntaries. Mandatory means you worked your way up. Yeah. Do you tell the fighter, hey, you're mandatory and you can't have it? Do you tell the fighter you're mandatory and you can't go to America and chase your dreams and have that chance, like Algieri, like Lord Hunnigan, like a Fonfara against Stevenson? Or do you kind of hold back and know the fighter and say, you're just not quite ready yet? That's the problem. Tell us what you think, guys. I mean, we know what fights talking about. Brian Rose, Tony Bellew, Lee Purdy, Gavin Rees. A couple of few more probably back than that, but these ones obviously have been highlighted because of recent performances. Tell us what you think. Leave your comments below. Email us at
BoxTalk@hotmail.co.uk. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BoxTalkUK.
And also, guys, look, don't forget to subscribe. Look, we love all the subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. Remember, for all your latest boxing news, check out ringnews24.com. And thanks for tuning in for another edition of Box Talk.